Wildlife in your yard has a great ability to mitigate any pests. The lizards are going to be eating the cockroaches, and the birds are going to be eating the caterpillars off the trees. So those can be really helpful in mitigating pest problems.
So how do you invite these beneficial animals and insects into your yard? It only takes shelter, food, water, and a place to raise young. If your yard is home to a bird bath, congratulations! You already have water covered. And wildlife of all kinds like to sip from the drip irrigation system emitters poking out of the ground. You may even have a water source you didn't realize.
There are a lot of plants that produce berries, and as well as insects are rich in water. So if you've got lizards eating insects, they don't need a supplemental water source, and some of the birds can eat berries and they don't need a supplemental water source from that as well.
As for food, shelter, and places to raise young, Mother Nature is the source to look to.
Well, native plants are really important because those are the kind of plants that the natural wildlife is using on a regular basis for food or for shelters.
Some great native plants you can use include the desert willow, a tree that feeds hungry pollinators as it blooms throughout the warm season. Then there's the creosote bush, which shelters many animals and needs almost no water. And if you love butterflies, salt bushes are known for hosting butterflies in their larval state. Other plants like native mesquite and palo verde trees provide light shade, are good for cooling down your yard, and still allow space for smaller bushes and shrubs to grow in, like lantana and ground cover. But let's not leave out some of our more iconic desert plants.
Some of the most overlooked sheltering plants are plants that are spiny with really nasty thorns or cactus spines on them. People want to shy away from them in their yard, but it's great for wildlife. Birds love to nest in trees with spines like the catclaw acacia, or even into cactuses with those great big spines. And the lizards run around those plants like there's no problem at all hiding from predators. So those are some great plants to keep in your yard.
Don't have a green thumb? Don't worry, a simple solution to hosting native wildlife is stacking boulders on top of one another. They don't have to be big either.
Bowling ball size or grapefruit size rocks stacked together can create lots of little spaces for lizards to hide into and create shelter for them.
Lizards like the spiny lizard, side blotch lizard, fence lizard, and even geckos are welcome additions to yards due to their habit of eating many of the bugs we consider pests. Speaking of pests, it's important to be careful when using pesticides.
There's a lot of systemic pesticides that people will put down to kill agave weevils or to kill, borers in trees that are soil-based. And you have to be careful with stuff like that because when you use a pesticide in your yard, the roots from some of the flowering plants may get into that area where you've applied pesticide, and you'll end up killing all of your pollinators. So be very careful when you do use pesticides in your yard.
Bees may be the first pollinators you think about when you hear that word, but butterflies and hummingbirds also visit flowers to eat nectar and help spread the pollen directly to other plants that need it.
If you have flowers in your yard, you will have honeybees and native bees, and you will be feeding all of our pollinators.
Butterflies like a buffet of lantana, blue mist flowers, and aster plants. Milkweeds give them a nursery that houses their eggs and then feeds the young caterpillars that eventually hatch.
And it's also important to keep in mind if you've got caterpillars crawling all over your plants, that's important. That's the next stage of the butterflies. You don't want to pull them off and you don't want to kill them.
Butterflies like clusters of flowers they can walk across to gather nectar. Hummingbirds, on the other hand, love red and orange tubular flowers. They'll even stick around during the winter as long as there's a nectar source available, such as rosemary, bush germander, anisacanthus, and Mexican fire. Coral fountain plants and tacomas also help hummingbirds out during that time of year.
Designing a wildlife habitat in your yard, it's nice to have an open area where birds and butterflies can easily fly in and out of. That's maybe full sun for some of the real flowery plants that you want to provide. So a nice open area in the center for a vegetable garden, flowers, maybe a patio is a good idea.
Surround this with shade trees and you can have a yard that's a welcoming place for people, plants, and wildlife.
The thing to keep in mind is in Las Vegas, you can't just use the same plant material that you used in other parts of the country, back east or in coastal California. You have to find the plants that work really well in Las Vegas. And if you do that, your maintenance will be much lower, your plants will be healthier, and you'll have a much better job attracting the wildlife that is local.
Need help building your wildlife habitat at home? Gardening classes are always offered at the Springs Preserve, where you'll find a robust gardening community to learn from and a zoology staff ready to answer questions about any mystery lizards or critters who come to call. Before you know it, you'll be hosting your own beautiful home habitat for wildlife.